nurseries. I'm Chris Burbeck, and my husband Mike and I have had the nursery. We just celebrated our 31st year, and over at the end, we're having a children's seminar that we started doing last year. Our 4th generation of gardeners. This is what we're developing right now. So we are just delighted that this is for everything that's happening, even after 31 years. So the nursery is growing just like our garden. Kayra's been with us for 4 or 5 years now, and she came from Capital Nursery when they shut down their operation, and she's a native of Yuba City, came back up here, and we've been thrilled to have her. She has her background, same as I do, plant, ornamental horticulture, plant ID, plant landscape design, plant science. Do you need
paper?
What?
A handout?
Oh, we're going to have to print more. We've given them all out. So are they on the computer?
It's in my drawer. It's in my
James?
My drawer.
It's in her drawer? Okay, we'll get some more printed. So when you come in and shop at the nursery and want design help, she is officially trained as a landscape designer from Sierra College, American River. I went through the Yuba College program 31 years ago. 30 years ago with Don Angs and I became certified through them. And it's kind of what I finally turned 40 and found out what I was supposed to do. And I've loved it. I've never gotten tired of doing it. And I look around and see all the faces of how many people I know from working in your yards. And so it's like long-time friendships that make it amazing to us. Thank you for coming. So Kayra, you can get started, and I'll interject if there's any. We'll go ahead.
Alright, well, anybody who didn't get a handout, I think James is going to maybe give us some more handout.
I can't find it.
It's in my drawer.
Can I borrow somebody for a copy?
Okay, so, welcome. And today we're going to talk about container gardening. I've printed up a little sheet here, and then we'll have a workshop. If you brought your own pots, we'll have to select some plants that go nicely in there. Otherwise, we have lots of nice pots. Also, you can look at for sale here at the nursery if you're interested in buying some containers. Container gardening allows you to enjoy color nonstop year-round. So you can either change out your containers with the season to keep fresh color going. Often you'll see containers changed out 4 times a year, maybe 3 times a year. Or if you don't want to bother with that, you can select plants that will bloom over a long period of time, spring through fall, for example. So you can use topiaries such as privet, boxwood, rosemary, or dwarf nandinas, and we have examples of all those plants here to show you today. And anybody can learn how to container garden. You just need a pot with good drainage. You need to select plants that go together well. But you don't want to overpot. You want to have plenty of room for air circulation in the roots so that you don't get too jumped up. And sun and shade exposure. You want to have proper sun and shade exposure for your plants. It's very important. Here our summers get so hot that you'll see a lot of plants fail just from being boiled in their pot. So selecting the toughest plants you can if it's going out in the full shade is very important.
Also, can I just interject?
Oh,
the pots, when you choose them, it's always better to use a heavier clay or ceramic. Anytime you're using a plastic or a synthetic composite pot, the interior temperature raises by up to 30 degrees, absorbing the heat and building. And so you could be watering those roots, and all you're doing is steam cooking them, because especially if the pot is a dark color. So if you're going to have it in the sun, I just really recommend using clay or some type of ceramic that keeps cool the roots.
Also, putting the containers on a hot slab of concrete is another no-no. The roots can boil sitting on that hot slab, so simply moving it off into a cooler location.
Or raising it up even. And sometimes the easiest way of raising it is just taking pieces of PVC pipe and cutting them in rings, circles like an inch, and you put like 4 of them underneath the pot, get an inch off of the ground, and even that little bit of air circulation under the pot. And it helps the pot drain better too.
Also, getting your container So containers can be used to provide focal points, create privacy, screen objectionable views, accent the landscape, or just grow tasty fruits and herbs. Fertilizing. Flowers, to keep them blooming, they should be fed monthly with a granular or about every 2 weeks with a liquid fertilizer. We have many fertilizer choices that we set up over here, whether you want to go organic, liquid. Liquid gets in right away. It's the fastest way to get some nutrients in, using the liquid.
And usually if you're using them in a container, you put about half the recommended amount. So instead of 1 tablespoon per gallon, you'd use like a half a tablespoon per gallon because you're going to use it more often in the container.
We have Osmocote that is going to last over a period of, this one feeds up to 6 full months. Don't bother with that. Liquid Gold growth has 15% nitrogen, so if you're trying to get your plants off to a good start, you can use Liquid Gold. Master Bloom is to promote blooms without promoting a long growth. So it's low, only 2% nitrogen, and higher in the last 2 numbers, phosphorus and potassium. And phosphorus is what's responsible for strong roots and blooms. And then we have an organic Keystone. If anybody wants to go organic, if you're eating your vegetables or fruits, I always choose organic.
The other thing I'm going to interject with that is in your water and your soil, and it is very prevalent around here. One of the things I learned years ago in my plant science is we are at the bottom of an old seabed, and we have a lot of salts naturally, and not extremely, but we do have extra salt, higher pH or lower, in our soil and in our water. And when you're watering and feeding the non-organic fertilizer, you look at your nitrogen composition, and it has, they all end with AT, and any nitrogen that has that at the end of it means it's a synthetic nitrogen base with a salt foundation to it. So when you're people that are planting azaleas and shallow-rooted plants, and each year goes by and they see a little more burn back and a little more die off, it's because the salts, water evaporates out of the soil and leaves the roots receiving that buildup of salt that happens every summer. So each year the plant goes into a further and further decline. People say I can't grow it, and it's usually because you're putting like a synthetic nitrogen on a plant that has shallow roots. It's getting extra salt and it's getting hot, and they die off. So I'm just becoming more and more killing it. You're killing it, even though you think you're killing it. So what they say to do is flood irrigate every summer midway. Just let the water fill that soil up, that bed up, and then flush it down past the root zone to get that buildup out of the surface of the bed.
No. Is it best to fertilize it in the spring and fall and not fertilize in the winter, or fertilize in the winter as well?
It depends on the plant, because some plants are still growing in the wintertime. The best rule of thumb is don't let your plants go to bed hungry. So if they're going to go dormant, then feed them in the fall when they're still absorbing nutrients. And then when they wake up after a long winter's nap, feed them again because they're going to be hungry. And if you want to supplement, feed them during the year. When we plant and recommend fertilizers, we plant as a landscaping company and recommend, we always recommend following up the initial planting, which is Formula 40, Master Start. We use Formula 49 because it's an 8-4-4 formula, and it's part organic, part synthetic. And you, at the end of a year, get 32% nitrogen over a 12-month period, and you still get your 16 the rest of the time. So, and it tests with it. If any of you have used it, you probably know how efficient it is and how much better your plants work. Getting fed every 3 months with it.
Sorry. Add all you want.
And this is a great
Soil moisture. It's great for adding to containers to help keep it hydrated. So especially in our triple digit heats when the pots are drying out pretty quickly. Here we water once, sometimes twice a day when
Because if you overuse it, what happens is that swells up as a starch and attaches itself to the roots of the plants and pushes that plant right out of the pot.
They also say to not put it in the top 2 inches of the soil.
The same thing.
Yeah, so soil.
So when it says something, you know, I always tell people if it says something, it's not more is better, but less is better.
Okay, deadheading is the next list. And, plants require deadheading when their little blooms have kind of gotten spent. So if you can just snip those off, it encourages the plant to make more blooms, keeps the plant looking nice and tidy. So we recommend deadheading regularly to keep your pot looking nice.
And deadheading doesn't necessarily just mean taking the flower off. For instance, like especially Calibrachoa, if this flower is wilted like this, and you're taking it off just at that flower, and you're leaving that little my plant science is failing me. Take it all the way back to the base where it comes out of the stem and pinch it off there. Then that flushes out new growth and more flowers. But if you take it off and just pull it out of that little base that the flower came out of, what's the name of that? Then all you do is you just have more leggy growth coming out. So it's just do a little pinching of the stem.
Some plants require a hard cut.
Yeah.
Like petunias, for example. They've gone and gone and gone, and at some
Which is
point,
this is the same family.
getting them a hard cut back will encourage you to do it all over again.
I did a wedding for a client whose daughter was getting married in her backyard, and the wedding date was 9, 10, 11. Now, she did it specifically so her fiance would never forget the wedding date. But you all know what September gardens look like. They are like, I'm so tired of this heat. And so we started at the end of July. Well, we planted in June. We started at the end of July, end of June, going through every single week. I pinched back all the annuals, deadhead them all, and then every week we go back and do it again. And every week I fed it with a liquid fertilizer. And they all, and the end right before we deadheaded the roses at the end of July, pruned it back, and that wedding, everything just burst all. We let it go the last 2 weeks, and it looked like a completely brand new, full, huge amount of flowers in it. So the gardens do appreciate, especially in August, and your containers, to prune them back, deadhead them hard, feed them, and they'll flush out a whole new growth in the fall. Brand new.
Okay, well, next thing we'd like to talk about is often there's a method to the containers, and they call it using a thriller, spiller, and a filler. So I actually have a picture here I'd like to pass around that is an example, a nice example. It's beautiful. Yeah, this one is great. This is Southern Living Magazine, and there's 126 examples of container gardening on this website. You can pull it up from home. Southern Living Magazine, spectacular container gardening. There's some really gorgeous pots to look at there. Over here we have an example of plants you can combine together for shade gardening. And on this side we have some examples of sun. Go through and show you some examples of putting combinations together here.
One of the things in design is that if your container is, say, 18 inches tall, you really want to have it balanced proportionately and have a plant that gets up like 3 feet tall, so that you have more plant than you have container. And this is a thriller. Does anybody know what this is? You're right, and you don't see them very often.
What is it?
It's a shrimp plant. It's a Jessica, not a Carnea. I can't think of which variety it is. But these all look, these open up and they'll cascade down and they look like little shrimp hanging off. And this bush will be about 3 feet tall and 3 feet wide. It's deciduous, I mean right to the ground, but it'll come back every year. So it's beautiful, and with this deep corally color as the flower, then it's fun to bring in purples and other colors, lime and greens to go full. I love to do colors in what I call tertiary, like 3 colors. So if you're working with coral, then the other one is a burgundy, and then trying to find, good luck, something in an aqua blue. So, for instance, putting a pot, if you had an aqua blue pot, like this one, and this would be a good size to put this in. You can put this coral flower, and you can put a burgundy, that's almost a peachy burgundy, like that. And then this is your dark purple too, like this. But the other thing that's important, I'm sorry, is getting the textures to be different as well. So this would be called a bold texture, and this would be considered medium. And then you want something that's fine. So, like doing a grass, like this would be beautiful. And then you can even take, that could make this one, you can even take it and do this. Oh, that's pretty. That's pretty. Doing it like this. And this will trail and cascade down. So you've got 3 different textures going on. What? Oh, that's a shame.
Did everybody see this one?
I didn't touch anything else for sure.
No, I do. Okay, so that's one example. Using the color of the pot to color.
Those are shaped plants.
These are all shade plants. But one thing you can do, we were talking yesterday, is if you have a big container and you're setting it where, say, this side is facing south, like this is, and you wanted something in here that needed shade. So this was all set up with sun, but you wanted something that took shade, you wanted that color in there. If you put that on the east side or on the north side of the pot, you'll get the shade on that plant because this is all shaded in the afternoon. So you can mix them where you wouldn't even be able to do it in a garden setting unless you have a tree with shade. So I'll set this one on the ground.
Well, they actually down by
Actually, I'm going to set it off the side because we'll be working through it.
Well, when I worked at Castle Nursery, I once had a little gal that came in and she chose this to use in the winter months. It only blooms in the summer. This is cereal. But in the wintertime, she chose this for the texture, and then she paired it up with, not this one, these are flashing. It's too much yellow and green, but she paired it up, like for instance, with ivy or a different type of lot. She did use, I think she used something like this, and it was actually not a variegated lariat, but I wanted to show you that this makes a really nice little winter combination. Often thyme is used in planters as well. We can pansies and all perhaps bring it over, but you can combine herbs, flowers, and make some really gorgeous planters. This is a wonderful spiller. Creeping Jenny, it will actually trail quite a long ways over the edge of your plant. And so this makes a really nice spiller, as does the ivy. And the lamium will also spill over the pot a little ways. And it doesn't need a lot of sun. Hard sun is all required. This will actually go in pure shade. So we have many plants with this one too. The juga will, if you plant this in the pot, it will actually go down like 4 feet. And it looks pretty neat when it does that. It also produces a blue flower. So this is a fun little spiller to put in for shade. They do shade. They do shade. This one is a juga, and it comes in many colors. Some of them are very dark purple, some are bright green, some are variegated. So it's also a really neat little spiller that you can use. This is hooper. Is everybody familiar with hooper? different colors. It makes it a really fun, popular plant to sell here. It comes in bright greens to brighten up shady areas. And then we like to just put things together that pop. So for instance, I would combine these two colors. So we have this over in our shade area over here. With the winter months coming up here, snapdragons are very popular in the container gardening too. Some are very tall, some are shorter, so you can either use it as a thriller or you can use it as a filler. Either way, but non-stop color all winter long. Same thing with the pansies. They're going to be, they will bloom literally fall clear through spring. So very long. And like on this, they're excellent fillers. I talk about. This is a caprosma or mirror plant, and you can see a little bit of pink on it. In the wintertime, when it gets cold, it gets vibrant pink, almost like a nandina, heavenly bamboo. I like it because I like the shiny texture. It reflects the light, brings some pop into it. It takes full sun, but it really is happier with just a touch of shade sometimes during the day. I kind of say that about all of us. We all like a little bit of bright sometime during the day. Oh, I love that one. So, but this gets big. Huh? Mirror plant. Yeah. And this one is called Inferno, and they get big. So what I'm saying is I love to put in pots textures of shrubs that stay year-round. So I could use an andina, or this is called a Xanadu philodendron. I love this one. This stays small. This one doesn't get any bigger than about 2.5 feet. But this one will. But you can use these in your pots as your permanent plant that you work around. And when it starts to get too big and it's ready to change out your color and you want to make it look different, you simply dig it out, prune back the roots, prune back the plant, and put it back. And if you don't want to do that, if you want to change that completely, then you have another